I do see him on there. Well, why don't we get going?
Okie dokie.
Is it on record?
It is.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, well, good morning, everyone, and we want to welcome you to the Indiana Clean School Bus Consortium webinar. My name is Carl Lissick, Director with Drive Clean Indiana, and the Drive Clean Indiana team will be acting as your host and an administrative sponsor for this and all upcoming Indiana Clean School Bus Consortium events. This program is co-managed by the Indiana Department of Environmental Management, Mr. Sean Seals, and Sean, unfortunately, will not be on today's webinar. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please ensure you're muted throughout the meeting. We will begin everyone on mute mode without cameras and we'll open up during the question and answer time. You will be able to type in any questions and we'll address as many questions as we can. If we don't get to your question, we'll provide you with an email response. Today's presentation will be about 30 to 45 minutes, followed by a question and answer period. Any additional questions can be emailed to info@drivecleanindiana.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted to the Drive Clean Indiana website, and all upcoming announcements, including events, grants, projects, and pertinent information will be on our website. So if you have any questions, please feel free to call us for further clarification at 219-644-3690. Just a little update, the Indiana Clean School Bus Consortium is a collaboration of federal, state, and local agencies and concerned citizens, along with communities, nonprofit organizations, and private companies, all working together to make a visible difference in our communities by reducing exposure to emissions from from school bus diesel engines and equipment. Our goal also is to highlight the great projects and technologies being implemented in our state, and we'll provide you resources that assist you in learning about these new technologies. Health concerns, peer-to-peer interaction, overviews, and demonstrations of these technologies, as well as best management practices. We want to understand what information you'd like to learn about, and we will create upcoming webinars and roadshows based on the information we receive from you. So our goal is to be your one-stop shop for everything clean school buses in our state of Indiana. So we have a great webinar for you today, and I'd like to introduce from the US EPA, Mr. Carter Granberg, who is also our Indiana Clean School Bus EPA representative. And Carter, I believe you have some good news to share with us today. So Carter, if you could take it away.
Hey, Carl. Hey, everyone. Happy to be back. Thanks again for hosting this, the Coalition Consortium. Glad to see we're able to meet again and have these conversations and talk. Yeah, and just to kick it off, and we do have some good news. Tony Maeda is here as well from US EPA, both of us working on Indiana and school buses more broadly. The good news is that it looks like the 2023 rebates of those that were accepted are going to now be going through with funding. So that funding's been loosened up, and we expect those awards to be dropping soon. At a higher level, a lot of paperwork is being processed, and those awards are kind of being reopened. So we expect to have more formal updates on an actual timeline and when money should be released in the near future, but it looks like there is a green light on those. Don't have much more in the way of big updates right now. We're still kind of unrolling everything, hoping that by next coalition meeting, we can have a little bit more of a formal update with timelines and milestones and everything for folks. But in the meantime, feel free to reach out, ask us any questions. We'd be happy to answer what we can, and we'll keep everybody posted.
Well, thank you, Carter. Thanks for that information. I think you also have some good personal news to share with us. Why don't you share that good news?
I do, yeah. My wife and I are expecting a baby boy any day now. The doctors keep threatening us that it's imminent. So we are getting very prepared for that. I will be going on personal leave regardless by the end of this week and out for a little bit. So I may miss the next coalition meeting. Tony will most likely be there. But by the time you see me next, hopefully we'll have both good news about school buses as well as a new son. So
That's
thanks, Carl.
that's wonderful, Carter. That's congratulations. And Tony, I don't know if you have any updates you'd like to make, please. So that's great. So moving on with our webinar here, we have a presentation today from an organization called Ingevity, and Mr. Robert Friedman will provide an update on their clean school bus technology. So Robert, please take it away.
Hey, Carl, this is Russell Schindler, part of the New Fuel and Ingevity team. So Robert actually is not available to join, but I am here to do the presentation
Awesome. Thank you.
if that's okay.
Absolutely, sir.
Perfect. So look, I appreciate the opportunity to present and talk to you guys today, share a little bit more about what we are doing as a company with our solution and moving, pun intended, schools to a cleaner fuel. We are part of, I guess I'll go a quick background. So our parent company, Ingevity, we're a specialty material performance chemical company based in Charleston, South Carolina. But basically everything we touch, every industry we deal with, we approach with a sustainable direction. And a big part of our business is actually in the emissions capture space for the automotive industry. We are basically doing evap canisters for almost every single gasoline vehicle sold worldwide. And we are taking that core technology, which is called activated carbon, inside that evap canister. And we are commercializing kind of a new use case for it to store natural gas and renewable natural gas as a transportation fuel in the light duty space. So cities, utilities, municipality vehicles, but also more importantly, and what we're talking about today, the school bus industry. So we are actually providing what we feel is the highest value spend solution for diesel emissions reduction. So essentially what we are doing is we are taking existing diesel school buses that are in operation today, existing assets, and we are installing our solution on these buses as a way to displace roughly 40% of diesel fuel and replace that with cleaner, cheaper, renewable natural gas, with the idea that districts, independent contractors no longer have to go through, or at least can utilize their existing assets that, we feel like the diesel buses are going to be around for quite some time. They are still going to be the workhorses of many fleets around the country. And our solution is really the only viable option for an upfit to displace the amount of diesel and also provide a fairly significant cost reduction in fueling for bus fleets across the country. And we're also bringing in renewable natural gas. So I'll speak very briefly on this. So I mentioned, Ingevity is a very sustainability focused company, but we have manufacturing plants all over the world, manufacturing various materials for us. And as part of our sustainability initiative globally, RNG is a huge piece. We use natural gas in our plants, for production, but we have gone through several strategic partnerships, basically with full life cycle RNG project development, basically to give us access to that RNG, provide pathways to our customers, and also for us as part of our overall sustainability goals. But any natural gas that is dispensed through our system and used in buses can technically be considered renewable natural gas, and we can help administer that process for the fleets at no additional cost, providing added sustainability for the individual fleets themselves. So how does the system actually work? So it's really kind of it's a partnership between two companies. We have our company, Ingevity. We actually provide the fuel storage piece. So we do the tank, we put our product, the activated carbon in, so we do the actual fuel storage. So there is a separate tank that mounts underneath the bus to the frame, and that's where the actual individual natural gas is stored. So we don't actually touch the OEM diesel tank. Think of us almost like a hybrid, almost like a range extender for the bus. So we have that separate tank. And then our partnership is actually with a company called American CNG. They are out of Utah, and they have been doing heavy duty natural gas conversions for the better part of 15 years. And so they actually do the fuel delivery piece underneath the hood. And so together, our system, the Demi New Fuel system is the technical term, but we've called it kind of the CalFart bus. And it's kind of a cheeky name. We get it. It's a little bit funny, but it's really kind of designed to showcase where one of the many sources of renewable natural gas can come from. And obviously we're dealing with kids, we're going into school districts. And so whenever we bring our wrapped bus, they love kind of the name and the logo and the, our mascot, every time we bring the bus in. So the system is designed, we have the tank underneath, that's where the fuel is stored, high pressure line runs to the engine, and it gets actually delivered into the engine pre-turbo through the air intake. And again, we are displacing about 40% of natural gas and 40% diesel, replacing it with that natural gas. So the idea is that our system allows you to maintain the flexibility of the asset. So with a lot of green kind of alternative fuels these days in the school bus space, they tend to be a dedicated fuel source, right? Think of traditional CNG, high pressure CNG, electric buses, or even propane buses. They are a single fuel source. So those buses have fairly limited range where they can operate, kind of restricted to certain routings, typically don't get used for activity routes or field trips. But what we feel is, one of our key pillars of our value proposition is we allow maximum flexibility of the asset. Because we are a dual fuel operation, the majority of the daily routing of that bus is going to be run on that blend of natural gas and diesel. And that's where you're going to see, the majority of the savings for that bus. Is kind of that repeated use day in, day out, displacing that 40% diesel. But if that bus needs to go on an activity route or a longer rural route, majority of that day or routing will be run on the blend. And then once that natural gas tank is empty, then the bus just reverts back to 100% diesel, and there's nothing that the driver has to do. So, it really maintains that flexibility of the bus itself, and doesn't impact the overall operations for the districts. So how do we fuel the bus? And actually, if we can go back one slide, I apologize. I may be getting ahead of myself here, but no, this is perfect. So I'm sure you're questioning how you fuel the bus. So the beauty of our technology is, and I mentioned, our core product, the carbon inside the tank, the activated carbon, that is allowing us to basically bring natural gas to more sectors of the fleet industry than ever before. Traditionally, natural gas was only delivered through CNG, compressed natural gas, high pressure, 3,600 PSI. Well, this typically required very large, very intensive infrastructure in order to access that fuel. Well, because we have basically taken all of that out the window, we can now fuel these buses using very small appliances, which you'll see here in that picture on the right, basically the size of a household dishwasher. And it taps into anywhere there is existing natural gas lines on site. I'm assuming, a majority of bus fleets, their bus yards, maintenance buildings have natural gas lines either already running to it or close to it on site. And we basically tap into anywhere there's existing natural gas lines. So it's on-demand fuel delivery. There is no big tank like you may get with propane or above ground diesel fuel. We basically tap into the existing infrastructure, and as soon as somebody hits the start button on the appliance, that natural gas gets delivered. So we pride ourselves on having very minimal infrastructure. It is a very simple, easy to operate appliance. There's a start and a stop button, but the appliance will actually fill the bus itself, and when the tank is full, the appliance will automatically shut off, much like you would see, with an EV charger, automatically turning off after the bus is full or charged up. So the infrastructure is very minimal. The beauty of actually pulling the natural gas privately on site is you're pulling that natural gas at a commercial utility rate. So we are seeing customers that are using our product anywhere from $1 to 50 cents a gallon for the natural gas. So that's where you're seeing a huge savings as well, in comparison to just strict diesel versus natural gas. I don't know what natural gas is, or excuse me, I don't know what diesel is around the state of Indiana, but I'm guessing it's probably somewhere in the 340, 350 range. So we are seeing at least, $2 a gallon savings in the actual fueling itself. So very easy to use, very minimal fueling infrastructure in order to take advantage of our systems. We'll go to the next slide whenever you're ready. Yeah, perfect. So part of our system, again, obviously there's the fuel savings piece, but it is a very cost-effective system to implement into existing buses. So we like to put this up just for comparison's sake, but for one EV bus, not including the infrastructure, at the very low end, we can actually do 26 to 30 of our systems, including the infrastructure, in existing assets that are in operation today. So we have the ability to really spread out the overall benefits, the economic benefits, the greenhouse gas reduction benefits across the fleet in a more broad fashion. For a variety of factors, the infrastructure is very easy, but the cost itself per kit is relatively low. So we're looking at roughly about a 4.5-year payback on our system. What I will mention is the beauty of our system is it is designed to last 20 years. And so we know there are certain buses in your fleets that may not, last that 20-year lifespan. So the question, okay, well, what if I install this on a bus and that bus ages out? Well, the beauty of our system is we can actually take that system and reinstall it on the next bus as those buses start to age out in your fleet. As long as it's within that 20-year lifespan of the system, we can kind of cherry pick systems around and reinstall them on the next round of buses. So it further kind of spreads out your overall investment in the system throughout the lifespan of that bus. So I mentioned by bringing renewable natural gas into the equation, we are seeing over an 80% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions for that particular bus when compared to straight diesel. So on that blend, we're now looking at an 80% reduction. So your greenhouse gas emissions significantly reduced. I am sure that majority of your school boards or local cities, communities, are very focused on sustainability initiatives. They want to see, how certain things are being addressed from a fleet perspective. Well, we feel, obviously maybe we're a little biased, but we feel that this is a great opportunity to show, look, we're not going out and necessarily purchasing new assets, but we are utilizing what we have already, had in operation for our fleets for many years, but we are finding a way to green up those assets for the rest of their useful life. And, as I mentioned, we can take this system and move it from bus to bus. But that 26 to 30 buses that I mentioned earlier, we actually offer a 14 times greater greenhouse gas benefit as one electric bus potentially would. And we're not here to, and I guess what I want to make this caveat, we don't necessarily care what the district do for new vehicle purchases. If you guys want to go out and purchase EVs, propane buses, gasoline buses, that's great. We really don't care. But we just feel like these diesel buses are going to be in operation for a very long time or for the foreseeable future. And this is something that we can address those existing assets as well as any, new assets that you guys put into operation. So we feel like this is kind of the way we approach it is almost like a portfolio solution. So this is just part of the overall operation for your individual districts and independent contractors in Indiana. We'll go through the next slide. And I think I kind of touched on this a little earlier, no range anxiety. The whole idea is to maintain the full flexibility of the asset. We want to make sure the districts have the option to either run them on regular routes or run these systems on, activity or longer field trips, rural routes, things of that nature. I mentioned, we have the infrastructure that's easily implemented in your yard wherever natural gas is delivered. So you're fueling privately on site behind any locked gates or anything like that. I will say it is a timed fill, and that is because of our carbon inside the tank just needs some time to soak up the methane. So it is about a 3.5-hour fill, and I know that sounds like a lot to begin with, but for any buses that come back to the same lot every night, it's very simple to hook the bus up, hit start on the appliance, walk away, come back the next morning, and the bus is full of natural gas. A lot of our customers actually will top the tank off in between morning and afternoon routes if their buses come back to that lot again. But there's no compromise in the vehicle performance. In fact, we do see several key indicators of improved performance. So I mentioned, obviously, there is a reduction in emissions for the overall bus. But we are seeing, and we are in the process of calculating the formal data, but we're seeing a 40% reduction in DEF usage. So there's additional savings there as well. And because of the natural gas and diesel blending together in the engine, we're seeing a more complete burn of the diesel. So we're actually seeing between a 5 and 8% increase in overall efficiency during that blended fuel operation. So we're getting a little better miles per gallon during that blended operation. And our drivers say the buses are quieter, which is great because they can hear the screaming kids in the background a little bit more. And it's got more pickup. They feel like they don't always have a line of traffic behind them. They feel like they can merge onto the interstates a little quicker. And obviously maybe this is just perception of the driver, but that's kind of the feedback that we are getting today. Again, this can be placed from one vehicle to the next. And if you were to take that system off a bus and then go to sell it, we are not really doing anything to the actual engine itself other than injecting the natural gas through the air intake. So we remove our entire system, and that bus looks 100% OEM like it did before we touched it. And so there is no impact to residual value on the bus if a district were to then go and sell that bus after its useful life. So this is, this may be hard to see, but these are just a few pictures from some of our key customers. Some of that I'll highlight. The state of South Carolina Department of Education has been running a pilot program with us for the last, let's say, year and a half, 2-bus pilot, and we are in the process of putting together a 50-bus proposal for them. The state is very unique in that they operate their own bus fleet. So they run about 6,700 buses across the state of South Carolina. So they're a great partner of ours. The picture you see there with the snow, that is Eagle County in Vail, Colorado. They began with a 6-bus program and are now converting the majority of their fleet by the end of 2025. They have been a very, very important partnership for us because it demonstrates the system works at high altitude, it works in snow, works in mountainous terrain. And then the other kind of down towards the lower right-hand corner is a small charter school called Orange Grove. They were one of our first pilot programs, and they have also converted their entire fleet of buses over to our system. So those are just kind of, a few key customers of ours. We operate in basically every corner of the country, in every geographic location. We are in the process of onboarding fleets in Wyoming, additional fleets in Colorado, Minnesota, South Carolina, North Carolina, really kind of all over in New Jersey as well. So really, we are state agnostic. We work directly with state inspectors and state directors in order to gain approval to operate and install our system on their buses. The system itself is part of the EPA compliance list. So we have gone through all the testing, all the certification, all the safety specifications in order to be on and part of that list. Our safety protocols and testing is extremely intensive. As we understand, this is a system that is being installed on vehicles carrying our most precious cargo. So we take every step and every measure to make sure that the system is as safe as possible and exceeds all safety regulations in order to operate on public roads. This is not an exhaustive list by any stretch of the imagination, but this is just some of our partner fleets. I mentioned a few of these already on the list, but we also do light-duty trucks as well, which is really where our technology and solution kind of got its start in the last 7 or 8 years. We focus a lot on utilities, cities, municipality fleets. So think F-150s, 250s, transit vans. So that's kind of what you'll see over there on the right-hand side. So what we're finding is a lot of districts that opt to bring this technology into their operation for their school buses also tend to have, some support vehicles that could utilize this technology as well. So the fueling infrastructure looks no different as it does on the light duty side for the school buses. So a lot of times, they already have the infrastructure in place, and so they will look at some of their support fleets. For example, Eagle County School District runs a fleet of transit vans that actually carry the students' luggage when they go on field trips, and so they are looking at implementing this technology for those types of vehicles. But it just kind of shows the breadth of the overall technology and what it can do, for districts, light duty fleets, to reduce conventional fuel usage, cut fueling costs, and, show local communities, school districts, or school boards, that there is a sustainable option for the existing assets that you guys utilize today. All right. Well, I know that was a lot to cover, and I apologize for kind of just running right through it, but we will go ahead and open up, I think, questions if there are any here on the line.
Yeah, Russell, great. Thank you so much for the presentation. Lot of information, as you said. Can you talk a little bit about the training? How, what type of training would you assist a school district with?
Yeah, absolutely. So really good question. So as far as like the upfit process goes, we actually come on site and do the upfit ourselves for this actual system. Now, if a certain district wants to train for, let's say, future installations, we can definitely do that as well. But as far as operating the system, it's very easy. There's kind of we'll call it a quick connect. Quick connect hose that basically connects to the actual bus itself from the appliance, and that's basically it on how you attach the hose to the bus. And then there's a start and stop button on the appliance, and you hit start, walk away, and the bus will be full by the time you come back the next morning. So from a training perspective on use, it's incredibly easy. From a maintenance perspective, it's also incredibly easy. There is a tank inspection that needs to happen every 3 years or 36,000 miles. And that is basically just a visual inspection that we can provide the training for on how to do that. And then inside the actual engine itself, there is a separate filter in the regulator that helps, kind of regulate the amount of natural gas that's being delivered. And that needs to be changed out just about every 5,000 to 7,000 miles. And it takes about 5 minutes, and it's a $20 part. So it's incredibly easy to utilize. From a PM or maintenance standpoint, we would basically, I guess the best practice we ask our customers to do is to just run the tank of natural gas dry the day before a bus is to go in for a PM. And then there is nothing else that the driver or the mechanic has to do. The bus will just pull into the bus garage just like it would 100% straight diesel bus.
Wonderful. I know there was a question in the chat from Dave Dorset, and I'm looking for that. What
Q&A,
yeah,
here we go.
Yeah, what does the service piece after installation is done? Can local dealers do any repairs needed after the installation is done?
Yeah, really good question. So right now we have a fairly large team who, if there was to ever be an issue with our system, between us at Ingevity and then our partners at American CNG, they have a fairly extensive maintenance and installation team, and they would be the ones that would come out on site and do any work to our system. So the beauty of being a dual fuel solution is if there were to ever be an issue with our system, there is a quarter turn valve that's part of the fuel delivery line that valve would get turned. It would isolate the system. The bus would basically recognize that there's no natural gas, and the bus would just operate as a strict 100% diesel bus, until somebody could get on site, in a day or two, or whatever it takes. So you're never left with a dead asset waiting to get fixed. So that's kind of another one of our pillars to our value prop is, this bus will continue to run no matter what.
Awesome, thank you. And there's another question in regards to the renewable gas replacement. What is the lifespan of the engine?
If this is new, what research gives you the information in the last 20 years? Yeah. So the carbon, and this is maybe getting a little, too far into the technical weeds, but maybe not here. The carbon that Ingevity produces is basically high-value charcoal, and that charcoal sits inside the evap canister of almost every single gasoline vehicle sold worldwide. And that carbon itself has a lifespan of 20 years of use, kind of desorption, adsorption of gasoline vapors. And that is basically, and we've been doing this for over 40 years, putting our carbon inside the evap systems. And so that's why we say the system itself has a lifespan of 20 years. It's basically the carbon that we put inside the fuel tank that kind of limits the 20-year lifespan. So the system, like the fuel delivery system, could last far longer than 20 years. If somebody were to keep a bus longer than 20 years, we would probably just put another newer tank on that bus with carbon that will then again last another 20 years. Does that make sense? I hope that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you, Russell. And I guess I had one more question. Is there any specific engine platform that this would apply to for schools?
Yeah, so I mean, we can do just about any diesel bus. Our bread and butter is really the 6.7 Cummins. And we can do pushers, we can do really anything. In fact, our demo bus that you see here in the upper left-hand corner is actually a Detroit diesel. I know that particular motor has kind of a storied past in the school bus world. When we bought that bus, initially, we didn't quite know exactly which bus to buy, and I think we bought an interesting bus with a Detroit diesel and not a Cummins 6.7. But yeah, we can basically do anything with a diesel engine. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Russell, thank you so much. A lot of information. Maybe go to the next slide, please, and with their information.
Yep. Yeah, and what I will mention is a lot of our partnerships and customers started with a pilot program. And so this is something that we actually provide for the better part of an entire school year at no charge to the actual district itself. So we would provide the system that's on the bus. We would provide the fueling infrastructure, the fueling appliance. The only piece that the district would have to cover would be the actual installation of that appliance. So that typically is like a concrete pad, hooking up electric and working with the natural gas utility to hook up the natural gas. And we kind of work with the districts to help, facilitate all those contractors and things like that. But the idea is, if a district were to want to look at this, a pilot program allows them to kind of go through an evaluation period. We would help, in data collection. We provide quarterly sustainability reports for our customers. And so it just showcases, hey, you're displacing X number of diesel gallons, replacing it with RNG. That equates to, X amount of tons of greenhouse gases reduced, things like that. And so that's kind of the initial starting place for a lot of districts who want to look at this, is to engage in a pilot program with us. So just wanted to put that out there. That is something that we are continuing to offer the market as we commercialize this.
Wonderful.
More broadly.
Yeah. Very, very good, Russell. That a lot of great information. Thank you for your presentation, and we'll have this presentation will be presented on the Drive Clean Indiana website. And so we're going to be updating the website to include some of the deployments of electric, propane, natural gas school buses in our state. So look forward to getting that updated so you can see the positive impact that we've had with the Indiana Clean School Bus Coalition here within the next month. So next slide, Elise, please. So, just a couple of events that we've got coming up, a couple of things I just wanted to bring to your attention. Our next scheduled Clean School Bus Coalition meeting is scheduled, I believe, for the 18th of June. And one of the things I will tell you is one thing that officially we're not announcing, but just to put on your radar, is that through the Go EV Indiana program, which is part of IDEM and the collaboration between IDEM and um, Drive Clean Indiana. It's a program to promote electric vehicles, and so we are planning a road show in June. In June, we'll be announcing availability of charging infrastructure for level 2 and DC fast chargers, and this funding will be available to schools, communities, businesses, and organizations here in our state. So the purpose of the roadshow is to get organizations interested in applying for this funding, which will all be on the Go EV Indiana website. So again, what we're planning on doing is maybe, just maybe, we will do a electric school bus type of roadshow also to get various school members, organizations throughout our state that are interested potentially in implementing some of this funding in their school districts. So please keep a lookout. We will be announcing this hopefully very shortly with the locations of these roadshows. We anticipate about 8 to 9 of these to happen throughout the state of Indiana, but it will bring significant funding specifically to electric charging infrastructure. So the only caveat that I would say is that this funding, to be eligible for this funding, it has to be publicly accessible. So hypothetically, for a school district, and if a school district applied for this funding, they would have to make it available to the outside public. So more to come on this very shortly. So keep an eye out in your mailbox, and we plan on announcing this relatively shortly with the dates and then potentially some of the equipment that we'll be presenting at these roadshows. So with all that said, again, thank you for being on today's webinar. We've got some upcoming events. We've got our Clean Air Golf Outing, which is our 13th annual. That's happening in August of this year, August 26th. We are halfway sold out. So again, if you're interested in golf and you'd like to potentially leverage meeting some of the stakeholders that we work with throughout the state of Indiana, please feel free to sign up for this. And this basically benefits scholarships and things available to students throughout our state. So again, thank you for your time. Sorry for us, our last Indiana Clean School Bus webinar actually was held in December, and obviously now we'll get more on a regular schedule, moving forward with Indiana Clean School Bus. So again, if there's things that you're looking at, questions that you have, we'll keep you updated on some of the projects that have been beginning to be implemented through some of the funding that Carter spoke about. So we're really excited, and we'll keep up to date on all the funding and all the events that are going on. So everybody have a great week, a happy Earth Month, I'd like to say. And, again, thank you for all your efforts here in the state of Indiana and helping us clean up air in our most precious cargo, our kids. So again, thank you. Again, June 18th is our tentative date, and that might become part of our roadshow. So more to come on that. So look forward to seeing everybody soon. Happy Earth Day, and we'll be with you very shortly. So have a great rest of the month, and we look forward to providing with additional information very shortly. So thank you, everyone.